All right, when it comes to tackling, let's start there. The tackling effort for these Texans. First of all, how would you categorize that, Lopez? When it comes to
slightly better than mediocre, but not outstanding.
do we feel like that is the real representation of these Texans? Do we feel like it is not? Maybe this Texans team tackling-wise will be better? Because I do think that I lean towards, maybe it's hopefully lean towards, that is not quite real, that maybe this Texas tackling team can be better. That was a lot of alliteration. Because of the particular matchup that you were dealing with, right? With Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson and the ways in which they are not easy to bring down. Yeah. And there was concerted efforts against them, and I think that probably exposed the
I think if we're being fair and honest, that has to be something that you worry about, that it was real, because it was a continuing problem last year. I mean, they had tackling issues here and there last year. They gave up a lot of rushing yards last year. So, I think if we're being fair here, that's what D'Amico's telling them right now. Tackling's got to be better. He talked about it a little bit yesterday as well. No, that's real, and that's something that you have to be concerned about a little bit.
Okay, well, let's hear D'Amico on the coach's show talking yesterday.
Jalen, starting with him, like he was very active in the run game, and that's what sets him apart, right? When he does come down and play that nickel position, like his ability to fit the run game. A lot of times you have those smaller DBs that'll get in there and they don't want to stick it up in there in the run game. But Jalen is one of our most physical players, and to see the way he tackled was really well. Thought Henry stepped up and did a really nice job making some tackles. And, like you said, on Anthony Richardson, we had a couple times where he got out of the pocket, and we need about 12 guys to get him down.
So Bossman seems to be fairly happy, particularly with two of the guys that we look at when it comes to tackling, Jalen Petrie and Henry Toto.
I think it was two of the guys that we might have had. We might have had the biggest questions about. Yeah. What's real though? Like for me, I'm going to mention something that I think is we often overlook, and probably, to be honest, we'll probably overlook all season long, because it's not a glittery position, a marquee position. Those interior tackles did a pretty dang good job. Yeah. They did a pretty and that's with no Danico Autry.
That feels real as hell, man.
Yes, it does. Because that was something that we didn't really know. All the offseason acquisitions, these marquee players, as I talk about, then you go, okay, Folu Fatukasi, well, let's see. He's a veteran that's been around.
That's a sack for that gentleman.
He had a sack and a tackle for loss.
Correct.
And a quarterback hit. And then there's the one and only Rio, Mario Edwards.
That is a sack, a tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit.
Yeah, and he was another guy that we really didn't get on our radar until I guess it was Will Anderson Jr.
We had Will Anderson on.
And he's like, oh, man, Rio this, Rio that. He's just been helping me. And I'm like,
we like, who?
And if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, exactly what it was.
Scott said, oh, you talk about Mario Edwards, guys.
Yeah.
Like, oh, really?
Guys, Mario Edwards and Fatukasi were really good on the interior defensive line. We haven't given them the proverbial flowers, too much, and probably won't all year, because it's not a glamorous position. But then throw in Danico Autry, man. Throw in Danico Autry after 4 weeks, and all of a sudden you got something that helps that run defense and helps the tackling.
Yeah, the run defense and tackling, I think those are the ones that were really interesting. But for me also, the idea that you were getting pressure from those interior guys that's a plus for me. I mean, just generally, if the interior defensive line stops the run and just does not allow the quarterback to step up into that pocket, cool. Yeah. When you're actually getting legitimate pressure there, oh, now we're cooking with grease. So I thought that was really cool to get that positively, and for that to be a real thing that continues forward. How about this? Quite an efficient day on 3rd and 4th down for these Houston Texans. 3rd down, they were 7 of 14 all the way around, and then on 4th down, 2 of 2. Both of those, they were below halfway when it came to, they were in the second half, bottom half of the league when it came to their efficiency. Those places, particularly 4th down, they were 30th on 4th down. Just CJ himself throwing was 9 for 9 in 3rd and 4th down situations. How real is that level of efficiency for this team?
To me, and we may revisit this today, to me, that's almost something that we're taking for granted because of CJ Stroud.
Okay.
Because he's so good. And keep in mind, some of the plays that he made in those 3rd and 4th down situations were falling down to your knees and pitching the ball to Brevin Jordan. It was the dart that he threw to clinch the game to Nico Collins. And what was the other one? He just made spectacular. Oh, it was the cross-the-body throw
Yes.
to the middle of the field, also to Nico Collins.
Yes, it was.
That is real. I mean, that is absolutely real because of C.J. Stroud and what he can do on those situations.
To this extent, that's not real though. Like the idea that you're just
9 for 9,
right. And I think that I didn't want to just make that abundantly
consistently
clear.
converting.
But yes, I think being pretty consistent in that way, I do feel a lot better about that. If for no other reason than one of the things that is nice is you're seeing that defenses over top are going to be conservative because of the guys that you have that's capable. And not only were we talking about the idea of Dalton Schultz being able to get underneath and just kind of maybe play in the situation that we're talking about, maybe just play the sticks, right, and be able to get things there. Stephon Diggs, it seems like, is going to be able to work the middle of the field pretty well, like the intermediate areas. And he honestly, he is one of the big reasons why you have Josh Allen being where he is. They get Stephon Diggs over there, and all of a sudden he goes from being a quarterback that was not good in his first 2 years to being a very good one, particularly because he can attack the intermediate places because they have Stephon Diggs. Like, I do think that is going to pose quite a challenge for defenses, particularly in those late down situations, assuming the pass blocking looks better.
And that ties in with the other one that I feel is under the radar but is very, very real, because you mentioned Stephon Diggs, and he was in the slot a lot.
Yes.
He's not always going to be in the slot. And that ties in with mine. That's Bobby Slowick finding creative ways of using these guys to really confuse defenses. Now, we can talk about the big three all we want, like Stephon Diggs. He's not always going to be in the slot. They're going to move him around. He's going to be outside. Nico Collins, we know what he can do. But how about Tank Dell on reverses and end arounds? How about Xavier Hutchinson on another end around? I believe Xavier Hutchinson had the other one. How about just finding creative ways to get all these weapons other touches? And I think, you can talk about...
That's real as hell to me.
Yeah, that is very real. That's Bobby Slowick, as we talked about before the season.
Hutchinson didn't have a end around. Tank had both of them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very intentional, right?
Yeah.
The ideas of getting all of these guys the football. It's one of those things that's been a conversation, and I think those guys have been very clear that, it's going to happen. And it seems like that was one of the ways that we get the ball into Tank Dell's hands. When we're with the speed that he has, with the guys on the field, we do like those end arounds. Those do provide a matchup benefit for us when you're getting these defenses flowing one way. Now we have a speedy guy taking it the other way. They have to try and change their direction and go and tackle Tank Dell, which good luck on that, right? And that's another way you get the ball into his hands that maybe you don't have to throw it there.
It was Diggs.
Necessary. Okay, yes, Diggs.
It was Diggs. Yeah, it was Diggs. I thought it was Hutch. But again, Diggs. This is something I've really looked forward to. I think it's very real. Bobby Slowick, all these toys, let's see how we can use them.
Yeah, I thought that was a great point, and I do believe that that's real. I do think that because we've heard from multiple different settings from different people that there's a concerted effort to make sure to get everybody the ball. At least there's a capability, right? Everybody just get open is the thing. And I remember it was Tank Dell on the Pivot podcast was like, hey man, Slowick's got plays for all these dudes, right?
That's real, man.
That was very evident in this.
Really looking forward to it. And as far as the getting everybody touches, when you look at the targets, you can't ask for much more from your big three.
No, it's pretty well balanced.
8, 7, and 6. Nico, Tank, and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
You can take that every week.
And I know for certain, just off the top of my head, the play in which C.J. Stroud slips in the middle of the field and then manages to get a first down by throwing it to Brevin Jordan, that one was going to Stephon Diggs. That's another target there that just because of the way that the play played out, that it didn't get to that gentleman. And so, I think you're good there. There's a couple more that I want to get to. Let me see if I can slot these in real quick. One of these are one that I probably shouldn't try and get to quickly. Red zone. They were technically 3 for 3. A couple of those were field goal situations. How do you feel about this team in the red zone, especially when it comes to trying to get 7 in the red zone?
Okay, so I feel much better about it because of what we just talked about with the receivers and Bobby Slowick and using guys in different ways and all that. That was an issue. I mean, that was one of the big issues last year. I really am not. I mean, look, everybody's going to have their day defensively in the red zone, but I think consistently, kind of like the third down thing, they're going to be able to convert those 3 points, convert those opportunities into points, and a lot of 3 points into touchdowns.
And then, I was talking about field goals. All your field goals are 50-plus yards. So there's 3 for 3 in the red zone. Secondary. Are there secondary struggles real?
again, I know you and B. Scott were talking about the cornerbacks and they were getting open, and you're not wrong. We all saw it.
I mean, Sting got on a double move where I think on that A.D. Mitchell one where, AR, Anthony Richardson sails it, I think he got caught looking in the backfield.
He might have.
Anthony Richardson hits the top of his drop, he pumps, and, A.D. Mitchell gets the little out and up, and Stingley is stuck, flat-footed.
Yeah.
And I think that matters, right? And obviously there's going to be more experience, but you have that happen. You have Jimmy Ward showing maybe possibly a little degradation.
That's where I go.
Getting back. And then I hate to keep doing this to Kamari Lassiter, but bringing up the idea that the recovery speed isn't there. So if there are mistakes, which are going to happen in football, you're not going to be perfect, especially as a DB. That's a failure position, man. That's a tough place to be. He doesn't have the idea of, okay, well, maybe I didn't get there. Now I have to go and catch back up.
Yeah.
I think that there's a possibility that big plays could be had on the secondary.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that, but I think that's going to be something that the arc of improvement is going to be very, very distinct and quickly. I'm more worried about the two guys in the middle who have experience. Well, Kalen Bullock doesn't, but I'm saying Jimmy Ward being there, and then the rookie Kalen Bullock at safety. I'm more worried about the middle of the field. I think it's not real in terms of the cornerbacks, but I'll give you Kamari Lassiter until he starts showing that improvement. But we've seen a lot in the preseason that he can do that. A little more worried about the two safeties.
Okay, all right.